All right, what's up? What's up, y'all? Let me make sure I am here. I don't know how many stream yards I got up. I just want to check and make sure y'all can hear me okay. Hold on. All right, y'all. Hey, hey, hey. Way in the chat. Let me know that y'all can hear me all right. I was cleaning my camera, and apparently, with cleaning my camera, I essentially close the shutter. So I was like, why the heck can y'all not see me? What's up? What's up? Say, hey, girl, hey. Let me know in the chat box. There we go. Hey, y'all rolling in. Y'all rolling in. Come on in. Come on in. Share this out. That means that y'all can hear me okay. So I'm having a high-yo, and I got my Mom Squad glass. I actually found this glass at the dollar store, and it says Mom Squad, an elite group of women in charge of tiny humans. Type three in the chat box if you are a woman in charge of tiny little humans. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. If you are a woman who are in charge of tiny little humans, just let me know, y'all. All right, cool. Well, tonight I wanted to come in and have your conversation. This is episode 2 here on the Boss Your Brand Up series, me bringing it back to the community of women and really just helping women be able to boss their brand up, right? And I like to always have real impressing type of conversations and things that sometimes keep us paralyzed as women from really going after the things that we really, really want to do and have. Type 4 in the chat box if y'all give me permission to just have real conversation tonight. Um, and the title of the topic today is all around mean girls in business, right? I'm gonna put my shades on. Can I put my shades on, y'all? Put my shades on tonight. All right, because some of y'all might think I'm about to get a little bit shady, but I think that this is real conversation. And if this bothers you, I'm sorry, but sis, I'm here to help you boss your brand up in 2023 and beyond. So the thing is that I want to talk about is talking about mean girls in business, right? And despite popular opinion, like none of us really, really like mean girls, right? We don't like mean girls, but the culture nowadays have really got this phenomenon going girls. We see if you reality TV type person. Type 3 and let me know if you watch reality TV. And y'all share this out to y'all good friends. What happened? Y'all was ready for the conversation and now it's time for the conversation and nobody want to hear the conversation. All right, share this out to y'all good friends. Share this out to y'all good friends. Okay, share us on your timeline. Let them know we here. But just let's just talk about this. Let's just unpack this for a moment. I got my high-yo here, and let's just talk about it. So, none of us as women do we really, really like this or do we want to experience this, right? But again, like I said, we have this huge culture right now around mean girls, right? We look at things like housewives of New York, housewives of Atlanta. We watch all these kind of reality TVs where in real life, we see these mean girls really, really taking action. I mean, they are publicly sometimes humiliating and they're spreading like nasty rumors about each other, like totally drama. And I'm just going to give a disclaimer, I am not a reality TV watcher because I don't like the mean girl mentality, right? You see them fight against friends, things like drama, like really, really drama, mean girl type of mentality. But in reality, majority of us kind of, although we have some guilty pleasure in enjoying it, we really don't like to see this really, really happening, right? And personally, I just want to share with y'all a story. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this is one, identifying what is mean girls and where is it coming from, right? The second thing is having a conversation around how this may be impacting your growth, especially if you're a woman of woman empowerment, and realizing that some of us, majority of us, all have some mean girl type of tendencies. And then what do you do when you walk into a room with a person who is a mean girl? The quote that I have that I posted on my photo yesterday was all about, you should be so certain, right, about walking in your purpose that your presence brings the pressure. I'm gonna repeat that one more time before we get into the episode. That you should be so certain of walking in your purpose that your presence bring the pressure. Recently, and it's happened multiple times recently. When I think about and unpack this about being so certain and walking in your purpose, I recently had some recent experiences as to where people were either saying mean things to me in front of other people, right? I'm trying to think about how to say this in a way that I don't expose it. I basically was in a situation and I was in a room. Y'all follow me here. I was in a situation and I was in a room, and I didn't do something that somebody wanted me to do according to the guidelines. Okay. And so in that provided a person an opportunity, like a trigger, right? And so in that, they wanted to unleash everything on me. So I stood in a room of people and had these people go in on me like left and right, and attempting to share things about me that I knew wasn't about myself. Type one in the chat box if you've ever been in a room that people said something about you and inside you just started to burn up and boil. Type one if you've ever just tried to burn up and boil. Hey, girl. Hey, whoever said, hey, Starshima, it says Facebook user. Just type one in the chat box. I want to know if that's you. I stood there in that room that day and I listened, and it bothered them to some degree that I can have a semi kind of smirk or smile on my face when they were saying some things that would tear some people down, right? And I think about the person who was sharing that, who wanted to share this information with me about me. All right, we got some ones in the chat box who wanted to share this information with me about me, with me about me. Their interpretation of me was irritated, right? Was really, really irritated because they didn't get the reaction out of me that they wanted. Hindsight, in the moment, I listened, I respected what they had to say. I validated how they felt about me, but I was so certain of the purpose that I walk in that I wasn't shaken, that I stood there and I took it unshaken. And you may say, Starshima, why are you having this conversation with me on Boss Your Brand Up? Because that is the brand of you. See, what we don't understand, we as women, sometimes we attach the brand of us to our business brands in which we're running. But we are separate entities. You are a person, and how you impact the temperature in the room, how you adapt to the temperature in the room, how you influence the temperature in the room is all about you. What are the things that they're going to say about you when you leave the room? So the reason for this conversation is, how do you boss your brand up? Right. In the event that you're faced with a mean girl or someone who wants to share things with you about you that you may not feel is true, do you stop? Do you break? Or do you fold? Hey, Nikki, what's up, girl? Like, do you stop? Do you break? Or do you fold? What is that moment that you do when you're standing in a room and this is what they say? And I got feedback after the fact, and the feedback looked like I couldn't have done it. Like, I wouldn't have done that. Or I don't know how you did it. I would have been ready to take them out to the street or whatever that looked like. But see, I was so certain in who I was and in my purpose that I understand that the things that you can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? Type one if you can hear me okay. Type one if y'all hear me okay. My mic is up. Let me turn my echo down. Can y'all hear me? You can't hear me? Okay, all right. All right, I was just you were saying that I don't hear it. I'm sorry. Tech Starshima. Y'all pray for me. Um yeah, and really like Nakia said, like it's a self problem. So because I have done an immense amount of inner work, I didn't turn into be the angry black woman in the room or who reacted the way that they wanted to. So with this automatically like elevated my brand. And so the brand of me, it changed the narrative, it changed the conversation of when I left the room, right? And it's so strange to be able to sit in a space and you see this begin to kind of like shift right before your eyes and still going back into that environment over and over again. So, what do you do when you face a mean girl? Let me hear what y'all got. Like, what do you do when you're faced with a mean girl, whether it's in business? What do you do? Okay. Um, Oh, Shanika said that means that I just don't hear them. Like, what do you do? And when I talk about you gotta be so certain, sis, that you when you're walking in your purpose, that your presence brings the pressure. Like somebody put pressure on the neck. Somebody put pressure on the necks. Not that I'm trying to asphyxiate anybody, but sometimes you just got to bring the pressure, right? So let's talk about what are some of the things about a mean girl, right? Like, so we're saying that our culture supports this now. Reality TV is everywhere. So what do they really do? Like, let's think about that. Let's now that I share with y'all that story of where this kind of stems from and kind of giving you some context of what I've been going through and how it impacts your brand, how you respond. So you have two choices. You can either react in the situation or you can respond. And I'm going to give you some strategies in here to talk about it. All right. So, what does it look like? So in the business world, mean girl type this mean girl phenomenon, it can be really kind of direct or it can be really kind of subtle. It just really just depends. What you typically see is that mean girls, what they do is they try to criticize other women in public, kind of like this culture that we have created with all this reality TV, right? These basketball wives, the real housewives of Atlanta, like all these things. They are humiliating and criticizing each other in public. Like, ladies, we are literally saying it's okay to tear each other down in public when we should be gathering together, building a community and lifting each other up. Like, come on, right? And they spread rumors, they discredit each other. They try to sabotage people's reputation. They think that the things that other people are doing are not important, right? So they really try to overcompensate in some spaces um, when they're among other women. Like, that's just crazy to me, right? Like, what does that accomplish? And what makes it even uglier is that when we are in these women empowerment streets and these brands that we're saying that we're empowering women, but the brand that we're living is contradicting what we're saying, right? I think I just recently spoke on a panel, and on that panel, when I was talking to the women about social media and how to show up on social media and really trying to live their brand, is that living your brand is being who you are. Right. And you don't want to live, you don't need to live two different lives. So some people show up on social media in one particular way, but yet when you meet them in person, they're a different person. Type 5 in the chat box if you've ever experienced that. Type 5 in the chat box if you've ever experienced seeing a person in person and then the individual is different when you meet them in person, right? So this is just really bothers me and it boils me because one of the big missions of why I started the Female CEO personal branding firm, it wasn't because I wanted to make hella money. What my big mission was because I wanted to change the way that women do business together, how we can drive impact in the world. But if we are criticizing and belittling and making each other feel like the things that we're doing in the world and our magic is not enough, then we are we're not working together, we're working against each other and we're keeping a divide. We're not collaborating, we're competing. And if you're anything like me, we should be collaborating and not competing. If y'all don't see, this burns me up. This burns me up. All right, y'all. So looking at this, so let's talk about like what are some of the motivating factors, because here's where it is. I'm a nurse by profession. I've been assessing people for a very long time. And one thing that I've learned about life and just living life, not just being a nurse, but living life, I'll be here 43 years, God, God's will on my birthday. I'll be 43 years old. So I've lived a bit of life. I've been through some hard times. I've came from the mud. So in these different experiences, you learn so much about people, right? Especially learning what the things that you need to navigate to be able to succeed or reach your goals. So, why does this happen? Like, I think it's a hella ugly. Type 7 in the chat box if you think it's ugly. 7 is my favorite number. Let me know that you with me. Okay. So, really, the real motivation behind these individuals' behaviors, these girl behaviors, it really comes to a lot of their own insecurity, right? You see majority of the time that people who try to be popular, right, who desire popularity and power are the people who do these things like criticize other women, spread rumors about other women, sabotage projects and ideas and accomplishments of other people. Right? They want to make themselves look important. They're grandiose in their appearance, right? But it typically stems from like self-worth and insecurity, right? And they feel like they're competing. And that's why I tell you with that saying that you have to be so certain in walking in your purpose that your presence brings the pressure. Okay? Your presence bring the pressure. So this is just deep to me. Like, let me see what y'all saying in the chat box. I don't know if y'all feel it like I feel about it. I am heavily in these women empowerment streets, and I want all my women to win, right? Like, I really, really want them to win. Melissa Johnson says insecurity, right? Insecurity, insecurity. This is what it's all about. But I really think it needs to stop. Like I said earlier on the live, I don't watch reality TV because I don't like what I see. It does not depict women. And I'm not going to say that it's just black women because there's tons of reality TV shows that is not just for black women. So in all women and what we're doing and what we're allowing society to do to us, what we are allowing society to do to us, that we cannot fully walk in our power and create the world impact that we are here to create. I was just talking to Nakia a couple of days ago, and in our conversation, we were saying, like, this is the year of the woman. But for us to be able to get the things that we really, really need to get, we need to build brands that are truly brands of empowerment. And when we don't do these things, is when we start seeing mediocre impact, right? We can't push the true impact that we want. I believe that we have the ability to create certain levels of impact based upon certain situations. I mean that some of us have different levels of income. Income can buy you things that other things cannot, right? Money is a resource. So you can force yourself to appear um like you're doing things, but you bear minimal to no fruit. I guess y'all want to have a real conversation. Can we have a real conversation? And the fruit is what you get, right? You think about a woman going through labor, right? Laboring is hard, it's painful, it's tough. And then what does a woman get at the end? The baby, the fruit of the labor, right? I went through this and I did this. So it should bear fruit. So we can't be out here playing around and getting these mediocre impacts. When we get together and really stop being mean to one another or trying to make like what you're doing is not good enough. Here's my thing. Y'all know that thing that's going around, that little reel? It say a win is a win. And a win is a win. Sis, if you woke up today, it's a win. Sis, if you made $1 today, it's a win. Sis, if you didn't feel good when you got up, it's a win. We need to start celebrating each other like that. Like, we need to not degrade, like allow society to think like we are exchanging our power for money. And we are breaking the bonds and the yokes of what we can have to grow together. And it's impacting our brands. where people don't trust you, or other women because they experience you in a particular kind of way, they didn't feel authentic about it. Now there's don't want to go get the help and the support from another woman. All right, y'all, I guess y'all don't want to hear this real conversation. I'm just saying. We here to boss our brand up, sis. And when I think about when I stood in that room and those people said all these things about me, and I had to stand there and I had to take it, and I was completely unshaken, because the deeper level is that I understood the individual who was talking more so, which gave me a greater capacity not to react, but to respond. Not that it didn't bother me. I'm human, right? I'm human just like everybody else. But my big thing was, now I understand who you are. How do I pivot? Now my brand looks different. And let me tell y'all something else. I'm going to tell y'all a secret. When they put you in these kind of situations, when you're faced with a mean girl and you know how to be the woman who is professional and polite and know how to respond and not react, they don't even understand that they bossing you up in front of all the people. This is the real game. This is what people can't see. And this is why we just need to get, like, lose the mean girl type of mentality. Okay? Let us be women who can cheer for each other in public and correct each other privately. And here's the thing, these type of behaviors, and you look at these type of characteristics, and the bullying, the gossiping, the trying to undermine what somebody else has done, are not things that women do. These are things that girls do. That's why it's called mean girls versus mean women. That's why I labeled it mean girls in business, right? Because these aren't the things that women do. So when we're out here living our brands, because we're all brands, before we push any business brand, before we push any product or service, we are all brands ourselves. And your brand of you tells, your brand of you and what you stand for is what the people say about you when you're in the room and also when you're outside of the room. It also, with the way that you react when you're in the room in these situations. Some people think it's cute. I think that it is a barrier to our growth as women. We will always stay stifled and stuck. Our numbers will not reach the numbers that men reach if we continue to do this to each other. It's time to boss our brands up. So here I go. So when I think about these situations that I've been encountered, right? I think about, Starshima, what did you do? Right. So here, y'all jot this down if y'all got a pen or a notepad, or make that mental note if you're an auditory learner like me. Is the biggest thing that you first want to do is not let them smell like your fear, or even if it's not fear, that you're bothered, that they've gotten to you. See, people got so upset because I didn't react the way that they wanted me to react in the room. I didn't react the way that normal people will react when they're angry. I didn't let them know that they had gotten under my skin. Although I can sit there and stand there and take it, these are things you have to think about, right? So don't let them know, right? How do you get so bossed up that you can stand in the room and people can say bad things about you and you remain unshaken? That's the win, right? Because you may face a mean girl every day, but what are the things that you do, right? Some people like to get crazy and ghetto and start fighting online. Like, that ain't it, sis. That does nothing to your brand, right? Or you want to cuss somebody out and go off on somebody. That ain't it either. One key thing that one person told me that was really powerful, because I had to walk back into this environment day in and day out, right? And this was God working things out in me. When you're faced with a mean girl, how do you react? And the thing is that sometimes we don't want to, as women, like, feel like somebody got a win on us, right? Or they came up. And it's not really about that, but that's how sometimes our mind kind of goes, right? But really, how do you adapt and understand that it's not you, and begin to treat them and move them in a certain way? That's real game right there, right? This do take an immense amount of inner work and a lot of working on yourself to be able to do so, but it can happen, right? When people try to publicly um, undermine your accomplishments of something that you've done because it doesn't look like it's worthy of what they've done. How do you adapt? What do you do? Do you lash back at them? Right? So don't let them ever smell the fear. Be so confident in who you are and be so certain in what you bring to the game that your presence itself is going to bring the pressure. Okay. And here's the reality, we really have no control over other people and what they do. Okay. So no matter what adult who appears to be a mean girl says or does to you, is like you remain polite and you remain professional. And it's that thing is do unto others as you want done unto you, not what is happening to you at the moment. And I guarantee you, your brand will stay crispy clean. They want to know, well, who is this woman, right? Because you don't do the things that they would anticipate for you to do. So when we have these mean girl type of mentalities, when we fall into the culture of what's out here, we're really impacting one, not only our own success and our own impact, but we're also stunting the growth of other women. And think about the things that we're trying to break in our brands. I help women. So majority of my audience and my clients, I won't say majority, all of them are women, right? And pretty much all of them are all servicing other women. So, what if these women who are building brands contradicted everything that they stood for? What kind of taste would this leave in somebody else's mouth? Right? Like, think about those things. So, where are we saying one thing but doing another? That goes back to that comment that I talked about on that panel is don't be a person on social media and another person in real life. Like if you're a mean girl, be the mean girl on social media so I know what to expect when I see you in real life. Right? If that's your brand and that's what you want to be, do it. But it's definitely impacting us as a collective of women. It is impacting women's self-esteem. Like how can we build somebody up yet tear them down at the same time? Like is that what you want your brand to stand for? So I want to ask you a question. I want y'all to put in the chat because y'all know I love interaction. So stay with me here. Like, what do you want your brand? What do you want to be known for? What is it that you want to be known for out here in these streets? What is it that you want to be known for in these streets? In these women empowerment streets, in these driving impact in the world type streets? Because the women who's connected to me are women of world impact, right? And I just want us all to heal. Shanika said, living and walking in my purpose. That is a whole message right there. That's a whole word. As Miss Mushana said, ooh, here's a message, girlfriend. Walking in your purpose. Somebody said, inspiring others to live authentically in their journey. Absolutely. But do you understand how we have to exude these things that we're trying to tell other people? Like Obama talked about in one of his quotes, I quoted on one of the podcasts, and he talked about we got to be the change that we want to see. Like we got to first start with us. So make sure that we're not living a life that this is what we want to do and this is not what we're doing. Miss Nakia said empowering women to be who they are destined to be. Right. And you think about your brand, like we're here, but we're really here to serve a greater purpose, right? So, how do we empower women to go out and do those things of everything that they're destined to be? How do you walk in your purpose and create that world impact? Ebony says, I want to be known for connecting, empowering, and loving. That's it. Right? But look how society in the media world and how we're selling. I'm not saying y'all, that's not what I'm saying. And even if you love these reality shows, I'm not saying that that's you either. I'm just showing what the culture is depicting for us as women. and how we're buying into it for a little bit of entertainment. And for me, I'm just one of those women. I'm not going to sit and entertain things that I don't agree with, right? But I'm not judging you. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying what the culture is, and you probably never even looked at it from that lens, right? So when you think about that, connecting, empowering, and loving other individuals, right? How do we be that? And I'm not telling y'all to go and stop y'all reality shows because that ain't what I do. It's not what I do. I just wanted to have a real conversation of what's going on with this mean girl type of mentality and what really is ugly. What really is ugly is when these things happen and we want to have those mean girl mentalities and we can't control our emotions and we don't have the emotional intelligence. When we do these things and when we come up against somebody who's much more versed and is not a mean girl, you really make yourself look foolish. It's just so sad, y'all. It really like literally almost brings tears to my eyes that this is it. But again, it goes back. You have to be so certain of walking in your purpose that your presence bring the pressure. You're going to intimidate some people by being who you are. You're going to intimidate some people who don't know themselves. But does that mean that you have to stop being certain about who you are? I often get, and sometimes I've said it and I had a conversation with my husband, and I really had to think about it. And if you're my friend, I probably had a conversation with you as well, because often what I get is that you're intimidating. And never do I intend to be intimidating. If y'all know me, y'all know me. I'm a shoot for so long. Here, let me tell you where some of my straightforwardness and my directness have come from. And it's not to ever be mean, is that I've been censored for so long, right? I've been bullied by the mean girls. I've been felt like I wasn't part of the clique, that I couldn't be here, or if I didn't make enough money or appear to have a certain level of status, then it wasn't it. If I wasn't pretty enough, because I grew up poor, I grew up poor and I was a young girl who was dyeing her clothes when it came for the new year, a new school year, because I didn't get new clothes. So I didn't always fit in, right? I didn't always have my hair laid. I wasn't popular, right? I couldn't go to the skating rinks and do all the things that other people was able to do. So in that, and mean girl mentality starts in high school too, and young early elementary. And when we're mean girls, we're teaching our kids how to be mean girls. Me are teaching our girls how to be mean girls. And in that, it stopped me for so much. So it really killed my confidence for many, many years. And then I didn't say the things that I wanted to say, or I wasn't even comfortable in articulating myself in a certain way. And when you begin to carry yourself a certain way and get really particular about the brand of you, when I say your presence brings the pressure, because you're a woman who's certain about who she is. When she walks into the room, you have a certain kind of about you. See, the world is so used to being watered down and played with and sugarcoating and, let me pretend like I like you today and I don't like you tomorrow. If I don't like you, you know I don't like you. I ain't gonna entertain no conversations with you, delete you and block you on my social media, because that's just who I am. I don't feel like I live in a day where I have to have people around me for the sake of publicity, for the sake of being liked. I'm not fancy by tons of numbers, right? About how many people are following me. Those things don't matter to me. The thing is that the woman that I need to talk to, that she hears me today. And if it's only one, I'm okay with that. I don't care about having a huge email list. That's not. Okay, Ebony said, good questions. Okay, so I do believe our appearance are a strong part of our mean girl society. Absolutely, Melissa. I believe that we impact that, right? And how do we teach our children how to love? Now, Miss Ebony has a very good question. She says sometimes pressure can appear as mean. I don't, so let me ask you, how do you interpret pressure? What does pressure mean to you? Pressure can be mean to a person. When I say let your presence be the pressure, so when you're a woman who's certain of who you are, you know what you stand for, you understand what your values are, and you know what the value that you bring to the room. When you get into a room of an individual who may have a particular type of clout for a particular kind of situation, but is not certain about who they are, still trying to find that space, is when that's when you put pressure on those type of individuals, and that's when you see the mean girl come out, because typically the motivation behind mean girl mentality is insecurity. So because you're certain, you're going to intimidate other people. You can be certain and lovable and funny and fun, right? That can be it. So I will always, at this point, I will walk into the room with my head held high. I am a woman who's not dropping my head to make somebody else feel comfortable. I'ma love you. I'ma talk to you. We can rub elbows. We can have a drink together, because y'all know I like to have me a cocktail or two or a glass of wine. I'm cool with that. Right. But when you try to come after me, I'm ready. Do you understand? Do you see what I'm saying, Ebony? Is that clear? Type 7 if that's clear for you. So don't ever lower your standard to make somebody else feel comfortable in the room. Let your presence be the pressure to those individuals who are insecure and is not being able to move. You don't ever have to play yourself down for anybody, because if not, it's going to hurt your own confidence behind the scenes. Right? You're going to question yourself. Never question your purpose and what God is giving you to do on this earth, because somebody else isn't clear about who they are. And for years, I've done that, y'all. Like, for years, I've done it. And I'm okay if it appears as rough. And I think that we as women, we need to open up and start having real conversations. Hey, Miss Deidre, what's up, girl? Like, we need to open up and have real conversations, right? Let's not make ourselves look like what society wants us to do. We are creating the divide amongst ourselves. We as women have been competing for years. Why are we competing? I looked at a photo, and I'm vision casting right now. I looked at a recent photo that we took at the winery after we left Angelique's Bosses in Wonderland event. And it kind of hit me. Like, I seen so much vision in there. I seen social media experts. I seen wine bosses. I seen women where our businesses all overlap, but yet an opportunity for us all to still be able to collaborate, mount up together, make hella impact in the world, and make hella money. Why do we think if people are doing one, if we don't even, sometimes as women, we compete against things that people are not even necessarily doing what we do, and we're hating on them. Shanika Sadler said the other day in our coaching call, we're on a coaching call, and she was teaching the women about purpose. She was like, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. So I really loved her for that, because that is real, right? But why do we do that to each other? We have so much power in numbers. And I think the real way for us to be able to boss ourselves up, and how we boss our brands up, meaning I'm not talking about your business brand, sis. I'm talking about the brand of you. When you walk in, before you talk about any type of product or any type of service, put my shades on, because how do you walk in the room? What do you want the people to say about you while you're in the room, after you leave the room? That's really living your brand, like living your brand full out, right? And people want to buy into you before they buy into your products and services. So it's time to boss up. I mean, do I got some bosses in the room? Type 8 if I got some bosses in the room. I want to know if I got some bosses on the call. Like, let me know that y'all here with me. Let me know. Maybe I ain't got none. I ain't coming through yet. I'm going to sit my little high yield right now. All right, I see them coming through. Come on. Yes. Right? Bosses. Like, and let's just shift the culture. Like, yeah, society says, I'm going to give you a little bit of coin so you can live this life. But let's go out here and make some real impact. Let's be real women doing some real thing. She said it's the Mrs. CEO for me. That's right. Mrs. CEO. So, one thing about my mission, and if you're not in the click quite yet, I really encourage you. If you like this kind of conversation, you like Starshima, I get it, right? Starshima, I don't want to be in that mean girl type of mentality. And sometimes we're all recovering mean girls because sometimes we've been forced to put our back up against the wall that we just kind of adapted that way, right? Behavior is learned. And you like, this is going to be the year that I really want to get in a community of women. I want to get in a community of women who are like minded, who are ready to boss up, who are really heavy on women ownership, like us owning our thing, us supporting each other, us collaborating, and us going to get the bag. I want to invite you to the click. It's a great community. It kicks off. Our first kickoff call is February 1. And if these are the things that you like, come join me. Come join us, right? A group of women, and let's boss up. Let's change the narrative of what they're trying to tell us. Let's shift our narrative and let's start creating a narrative that what it really should be for us as women. This is the year of the woman. This is the year. Okay? Like this is it. So I want to invite you. Here's my personal invitation to you. Let's boss up, sis. And the big thing, like, let's do it together. Right? Let's do it together. You don't ever have to feel like you need to do this alone. I'm going to open it up for a second. I'm going to give y'all a few minutes. Any questions y'all have? Ebony asked a really good question. What questions do you have that I can answer for you, that I can help you boss your brand up in the moment? Let's do some Q&As for a second. I really appreciate y'all being here. Thank y'all for tuning in. It is a Wednesday. Sure, after a busy day of doing the things that you do, you didn't have to choose to tune into the live. I really appreciate you for being here. I really, really do. Okay. So y'all let me know. Put them in the chat box if there's any questions that y'all have. Y'all got access to me here for the next few minutes. I can answer some questions. I'm inviting you over to my community of bosses. Boss ladies doing their thing. Real sisterhood. This is the link in the chat box. All right, let me take off these glasses. So, what made me decide that I wanted to boss up? You know what, Melissa? I was getting ready to say, I don't even think I decided, sis. I think God was like, all right, Starshima, it's time to boss it up. You know, we were all born with purpose, right? Sometimes people have a hard time with finding their purpose, but we were all born with it. And majority of the time we run from it, right? And what I was running from was I grew up impoverished, right? I was in poverty. And God had put a vision in my belly, like that I was going to do more, have more. So I was chasing the American dream. And I was going after doing what society said I should do: get the house, have the kids, get the career, go to school. You know what I mean? Like get all the educational things. And I did that. But all in the same time, after I'd done that, I was still at a void, right? But I was still doing the things because this was society said that I should do, right? And I really call it a shaken at the core moment. I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but right after nursing school, after I had all the things, we had just bought a new Harley David, a Roush F-150, like had the things, y'all. I just finished school. I'd done all the things. And we had, after 13 years of struggling with infertility, it was time for us to have our first baby. So I carried Yari for 38 weeks, and I carried her completely uneventful pregnancy. I was high risk. And then one day I woke up and the day was different. And at that moment, as being a nurse, I understood how fragile life was, but I didn't understand how fragile life was for me until I experienced that. From one night going to bed to waking up the next morning at 4 o'clock and having a lifeless baby in you, right? And to go through all of that it went through, from going to a doctor, looking at a screen, all the things I went through it, I it was it was my shaking at the core moment. And at that moment, I knew that I needed to boss up. I knew that if I wanted to change some things, and if I knew that I didn't wasn't going to take my gifts to the grave with me, because the grave is so rich of our dreams and our goals and our aspirations, and taking something such as time for granted, it was my time. And it was the time I felt like that God was like, Starshima, here we go. And unfortunately, I know it sounds so strange to a person that I'm telling this to, but he had to do this to wake me up, because if not, I would have continued chasing the thing and I wouldn't have been walking in my purpose. And at that moment, like, your dreams and your things unfold or evolve as you grow. I started initially with, like, all right, I got to get serious about this. I'm thinking a career is it. I'm not completely happy. There's a void. What's next? So I started with a treat business. And then from the treat business, it turned into an event design company, into where I scaled into corporate world as well as weddings. And then here I am. I went into workshops and coaching other women. So it was that moment for me. It was like a shaken at the core kind of moment that I was running, and I was taking advantage of a resource of time as if I always had time. And my grandpa, Les Brown, you know, he says that we always say that life is short, but the real thing is that we take too much time before we start living, right? So that was my moment. That's what made me boss up. And once I got a taste of it, and once I started seeing what was next, it was it. And it grows as you grow, but we have to take the first step. And that was that first step, um even in the midst of tragedy. So there's always great things. And to bring that story back to you, God gave me double for my trouble. I have two amazing children, a little boy and a little girl. They are my heartbeat. They are the gems. But I feel like it's because it was my obedience that I was able to. And even in that, y'all, like, going into a doctor's office, I think about it sometimes, of not being ill or being the mean girl or being rude to other women who was pregnant, that was sitting there. And that was my boss up moment. Some moments break you, some moments make you. And that's when I had to realize that life is too short. Thank you, Miss Shanika. And that's just one of my stories. Yep, absolutely. So I am thank you for asking that. I don't really share it, so I don't know. I get bits and pieces, but that was my boss up moment. And thank you for bringing that back to remembrance, because sometimes of taking this journey, we forget. But one thing I definitely know is that time is not always on my side, and time is important. Time is more important than money. Don't waste it. What are we waiting on? Right? What are we waiting on? Any other questions? What other questions y'all got for me? What other questions y'all got? I was gonna give y'all an hour of my time on the show. Y'all got me. Hot seat coaching. What y'all want? How y'all want to boss up? Nobody got nothing? I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes to kind of come in here. If y'all come in, if y'all have any questions. But that was a very, very good question. Thank you so much, Melissa, for asking it. Really appreciate it. Yep, yep, yep. So yeah, that's it. So that's bossing our brand up, y'all. Bossing our brand up in 2023. This is the year of the woman. Shanika asks, how do you stay motivated? In full transparency, not every day am I motivated. Like, but I think the real thing is discipline keeps you going. Because motivation wears out. It's kind of like an emotion, right? Anyone ever I kind of think about this, and y'all just forgive me. This is my analogy. It's like going to church. Like going to church, I love some good praise and worship. Girl, you give me them good songs. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'm feeling it. The pastor then spoke, then he gave me a message. Like, all right, I'm gonna change. But then once we get outside of that and we don't keep that motivation or that same level of energy that got us motivated, then we sometimes fall off. So being disciplined about the things that you want to do with that. And what I've learned that to help me keep going in the times that I don't feel like it is putting myself in community of women who can pick me up, right? Who can encourage me. Y'all remember when COVID kind of hit? COVID kind of hit, kind of changed the trajectory of everything. I remember this so vividly, y'all. Like before COVID hit, I was making major traction in my business, right? And I was in this coaching program. I had my strategy laid out, and then COVID came. Whoo, right? And it kind of killed everything, your spirit, and in that time you had to pivot. And in that time, I think what really helped me, I know what helped me was being in a community of women. I was coached. So I was in a community and one seeing other women who were going through the things that I was going through. Not that I leveraged their pain to help me feel better. That's not it. It was women who got what I was going through and understood what I was going through and was able to help me pivot in that season to where I didn't fold or give up my business, right? Um, so your phone died. Okay. Like making that pivot in the business, right? And being in a community. So the things that keep you motivated, discipline, right? You got to have good discipline. You got to know what it is that you really want and be relentless in your approach. And you have to do it and make a commitment that, it's almost like a conviction. You got to have that conviction that I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it even when I don't feel like it. Like even tonight, I was like, all right, I gotta go live at 7:30. I cooked dinner, I did all the things, tried to make sure the kids' homework. And it would have been easy for me just to tell y'all I ain't showing up, right? Like I had other things to do. But because I'm so committed to the work and what I'm doing, so committed to my purpose that I had to show up, right? Because this is not about me and having the discipline to be able to do it is discipline, right? Having a discipline and a conviction to stay consistent at the thing that you're doing. And definitely having a community of women can definitely help you with that. A community being supported and coached in those seasons will really help you. She says, I like the way you use strategy versus plan. It says, please explain on the difference between strategies versus planning. Well, to me, planning is just planning. Like I can sit here and I can map out, like, all right, I'm gonna make a plan. I'm gonna do this. All right, I'm gonna earn 100K today. That's my plan. I'm gonna lose 180 pounds. Like these are the different plans. When I think about a strategy, I think about planning is just putting things down. Strategy is putting down, this is the how to of what I'm going to do to get it. Right. So let's just say, hey, your goal is I'm making a plan and have a goal to earn 100K in 2023. All right. So that sits in the center. And then now you got to think about, well, how the heck, what's my strategy? And am I going to get to the 100K? So the first thing I think about, well, what are your offers? Right. You got to think about what offers you're offering, which price point you're offering them at. Right. Think about that. So now I have the price points, I have the main offers that I'm focusing on for the year. And then I think about, well, how many people do I need to get into these offers? Right. So you've set a goal for those things. And then you think about, all right, well, now that I have that set, what are the ways that I'm going to get the people in there? So am I going live? Am I sending email campaigns? Am I doing these things? Like strategic movement is important. You can write things down on a piece of paper and not do much about them, right? Absolutely, Melissa. So when I think about that, planning is just like, oh, I plan to go to a vacation. Well, shoot, strategy is like, all right, I'm going on that vacation. I'm gonna book that vacation. This is how much money I need for the vacation. How am I gonna go out and get it? A strategy is like your yellow brick road. Planning is not a yellow brick road, right? Strategy is like your yellow brick road of how you're gonna get to the bag or to whatever the goal is, right? That's how I look at it when it's planning versus I'm just planning to do some things. But here's the strategy. It's like this is what I'm planning to do and here's how I'm going to go and do it. Very good question. Yep, yep, yep. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I thank y'all for tuning in. You can catch the Boss Your Brand Up every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. On the first and the third Wednesday, you can catch me on the Becoming Her with Miss Nakia Watts. If you're not following her, go ahead and follow her. This Friday at it'll be 4 p.m. East. I mean, it'll be 4 p.m. specific standard time. Our time, it will be 7 p.m. Eastern. You can find me at on Shanika Sadler. If you're not following her, she is an absolute boss. She is out here helping women walk in their purpose. She is helping them do that. You can find me there on Friday for a conversation about us changing the narrative, right? For us as women. Me and Miss Nakia on next Wednesday, we are going to be talking about packing. Right. We're going to be talking about packing. Follow Miss Nakia if you're not following her. She is helping women turn their hustle, going from a hustle to a CEO. Right. And I'm just out here helping y'all become iconic, like becoming the icon of y'all brands, becoming an icon in your industry, helping you succeed by standing out, right? And the reason why I feel like personal branding is so important, right? It really helps women really live true to who they are and really be able to drive maximum world impact because we can build business brands all day long, right? But until we unleash the woman and build the brand, it's when it happens. One of the sharks, and I can't remember which one of it is, he said, once you can sell yourself, you can sell anything. So once you're so comfortable in who you are and the value that you bring and connecting with people authentically, you can really change the game. You're going to build connections and build loyal ambassadors that when you begin to put things out, people are going out and rocking the brand because you're showing up and building those type of connections, right? So that's why I'm so big on building the brand of you. And I'm so happy that I got bosses in my corner that do work like Nakia to help you legalize your hustle. That I got bosses like Shanika that is going to help you walk fully in your purpose, right? And doing all the things. It's like so grateful to have women in my corner that we complement each other and out here changing the trajectory of things, right? So I just I mean, it's just what I do. It's just what I love. This has been my mission work. This is my purpose work. This is what I've been doing out here in these streets for the last 4 or 5 years. And what's even amazing is right now, y'all ever do something and in the beginning because you don't have the publicity or the platform that some of these other people do, right, and staying consistent with it. And now you see that this huge market shift right now that people made tons of money during COVID and they were selling products, right? And they were selling products or they were selling services, but they never really got true about who they are. They got really savvy at selling a thing and they took advantage of the market at that moment because people were buying at a different rate, right? But now that things are shifting and we have more sophisticated buyers, y'all hear this, our buyers are much more sophisticated. Their trust levels have decreased. So you absolutely, it is essential for you to build a personal brand. It is absolutely important because it's not about your product anymore. It's not about your service anymore. It's all about, do I vibe with you? Do we share the same value? Do we connect together? And if we don't, I can go over and find Sue, and Sue might be my person. And when Sue my person, me and Sue, I'm gonna go buy from Sue because I like Sue. Y'all see the difference? So it's absolutely essential to start building your brand and really being these women out here that's going to drive world impact and become iconic. When they think of what you do, your name comes up. It'd be amazing to get the email and saying, "Hey, so and so, I was asking for this and so suggested you to be the speaker for the event." You like, "Oh, I just been out here in these streets showing up and being me and living my life." Right? And not trying to live a different life, but living the life that I am. They probably laughed at me because when I was at Angelique's event on that panel, I was like, someday y'all may see me in my stories and I ain't got no wig on. Y'all gonna judge me? But I know some days if y'all wear a wig, y'all don't have y'all wig on. Just being relatable, right? I mean, I'm just saying. So yes. So I just think that it's really, really just powerful. And again, if you're a woman for the tribe, like if you feel like Starshima, I need to have some type of connection. I need to be in a community of women. I just want to invite you. The link is in the chat box, right? The link is in the chat box. And is your next level, right? So we have two choices right now. We continue to do what we've been doing, or we decide to make some kind of change. And our changes doesn't always have to be huge. They can be small incremental changes, but the idea is just to start. And are you worth $47 a month for your next level? Who knows what your next collaboration is in this community? Who knows what it looks like? The power of collaboration. We don't compete over here. We can collaborate. So this is another episode here on the Boss Your Brand Up series. I am so grateful to have you here. I hope that you make the decision and join me in the click. And if you, me and other women in the click, and if you're doing so, I want to be the first to tell you congratulations on making that. And I want to see you on February the 1 for our kickoff call then. So have an amazing night, y'all. Thank y'all so much. And go out and drive massive impact in the world. Be iconic. Miss Karen says, yes, it's so worth it. Hey, Karen, what's going on? All right, Melissa, if you're ready for the change, the link is in the chat. I want to see you in the click. I'll see you on February 1 on the call. Let's go out and do this, y'all. Like, what are we waiting on? Like, let's change the culture of what they're trying to force us to do as women. Like, come on. All right, we're gonna turn our own things in of women who support other women and collaborate and uplift and support and heavy on women ownership and getting our bag. That's our new approach. All right, y'all. I'll chat with y'all soon. Take care.